Understand what black is, the source from which all things come, security blanket for the stars. Understand what black is. It's not a color, it's the basis of all colors. It is not a complexion, it is a reflection of all complexions called human. And out of this blackness, passion flows like a river. Feelings tell the truth. Song and dance and making you laugh are family members. Understand what black is. The breath you breathe, the sweat on your brow, the cheers and the tears balancing the world on your head.
We are live. We are live. We are live, and good to be alive. I was just kidding with Jermaine, Brookshire, and Jermaine. We're going to chat with him for about 55 minutes about, in brief, what does it mean to kind of be able to get up and stay awoke and feel committed, et cetera, et cetera. And we covered those topics in about 30 seconds. So we're going to try to spend 55 minutes, 55 more minutes kind of elaborating. But it is something that you really got to believe in and exercise those beliefs, whatever they might be. These are certainly some contentious times. So I was really glad to kind of spend this Friday with Jermaine A. Brookshire Jr. Jermaine, my middle name is Robert. What does your A stand for?
Yeah, geez. It's Alain.
Alain,
Yep.
A-L-L-E-Y-N-E?
Nope, so it's A-L-A-I-N.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Great. So it's just fascinating that we have some recognition of what our names are for the last 150 or so years, but we really
Yeah.
had names before that. So it's really fascinating that we'll never know in terms of our initial origin story.
Exactly.
I know we have DNA, et cetera. But Jermaine, I was really glad to kind of chat with him today. We haven't laid eyes on one another. The Zoom is kind of an artificial way of doing so, but I haven't laid actual eyes on him since 2009.
But to say you saw me when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, I like to feel I'll be 72 in July, but I like to feel I'm still kind of young in heart. And as you know, as Neil deGrasse talks about, if you get up and go in a spaceship and move at the speed of light, you'll come back much younger than everybody else on the planet. So
Yes.
Time is really a relative issue. But Jermaine graduated from Wilbercross in 2009, and he left this great town of New Haven to go to undergrad in Albany, New York. I don't know why he chose Albany. That's a side story. You can ask me about that later. For undergrad, and then found himself in St. Louis, Missouri. Landed Dred Scott and Ferguson.
That was interesting out there.
Missouri for law school. And now he's back in his birthplace here in New Haven, Connecticut. And I really wanted to chat with him about what that means to be back, to kind of make the journey. Because often folks will leave. We hear about the word about brain drain, et cetera, and Jermaine might leave next year, next week. You never can tell. He's a talented person that works for Wigan and Dana. He's associate at Wigan and Dana, one of the most prominent law firms here. But Jermaine, what brought you back? I mean, sometimes there are hometown scars, and sometimes they heal, and sometimes they don't. So I'm curious. Are you a masochist, or what's cooking?
So when I left, I think one of the things that I was looking for was just trying to find myself. I had a pretty successful, career through, different high schools and middle schools here. I was on the citywide student council and did many different things, but yet, still searching and finding myself, especially with, the personal troubles that were going on at home. I felt like I needed to get as far as I can from this place. And as well as escaping home, it was also trying to see, well, can you make an impact in somewhere completely new where no one knows you? And it was sort of like that challenge. It's a challenge that I embraced in many ways. And so, when it comes down to my undergrad, my first choice was Morehouse. And it came down to, looking at finances. And I was like, oh, well, I'd love to go to Morehouse, but that's going to be a bigger financial burden. Coming from humble beginnings, that was something that really needed to take considerations into. And then I finally visited the College of St. Rose campus, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Really, it was just because of the attention that it seems like the staff and the faculty would give to the development, the holistic development of the student, and not just, looking at you just academically, but we're trying to help you grow into a young man or young woman. It's a Catholic school. Now it's pretty much non-denominational. We have an Office of Spiritual Life that embraces all religions. But I really found myself there really just by having professionals who would, ask about what is it that you want to do after here. And those conversations to me were very important because in many respects, although I always did pretty well academically, because of the poverty and just the bad vibes that I felt like I grew up with in my home, I didn't necessarily see myself being in the position that I am in, despite other people saying I always knew you'd be successful. So those are some of the things that I was constantly battling. And I think St. Rose helped me sort it out.
In Albany, New York. All right. And spend some time at the, as folks might know, Albany is the state capital for New York State.
Yeah.
So you spent some time there, I guess, for an internship. But then you, but some winds of change blew you from Albany, New York, to St. Louis, Missouri. What's that all about?
Yeah, so St. Louis, Missouri is an interesting time being out there. St. Louis, my school, Washington University in St. Louis, is ranked now number 16 of all law schools in the nation. It is actually in the top 5 for corporate law. And so it's a very competitive law school. Again, I'm big on vibes. I had a conversation with the dean there over the phone, even before deposit went in. I think we were on the phone for like 40 minutes. And again, just asking about me and what the law school can do for me, what it is that I'm looking for afterwards. And I didn't get that from other schools like Boston University and Georgetown. And so those things helped seal the deal for me. I knew nothing about St. Louis, but following my instincts and intuition, I feel like I made the right decision by going out there. The distractions weren't really there as what I think it would have been if I was in Boston or even Washington, D.C. And although I had some interesting experiences being out there, being out in the Midwest was a culture shock for this guy coming from the Northeast. But yeah, I think that, again, that was another right decision. And by happenstance, really, it led me back to my hometown. I thought I was going to relocate to Chicago after, but ended up back in New Haven, Connecticut.
Well, I guess before I want you to elaborate on that, whether the recruiters came out or whether you missed the pizza, or just whether life kind of brings a lot of journeys, and everybody stay with us because we're going to talk about as well. Jermaine delivered the commencement address at he mentioned College of St. Rose in Albany just last month, and we're also going to talk about something called the Great Expectations movement that really impresses me in terms of how we can stay sustained and nurtured for the future. But this was one of his many companies to come. He was also sworn in for the Connecticut Bar in 2019, and so we want to think that, Jermaine, that Wiggin and Dana hired you not for your handsomeness and not for your muscles, but for your brain muscle as well. So people hear about law, but there's so many different types of law. So we're going to talk about what kind of law you practice. But in terms of New Haven, what magnetism? I mean, you had a dream one morning, or the Reverend called you up, or I won't say a girlfriend called. I'll just leave it open in the question.
So the theme that I think you'll find is, again, just the vibes and feeling. So if I don't feel safe and secure, if I don't feel like it's in alignment with what I feel is next, I'm not going to do it. And so I was one of my guidance counselors at the law school had mentioned, said, "Hey, I didn't see that you put in an application for Wiggin and Dana." I said, "Wiggin and who? Where is that at?" And she says, "New Haven, Connecticut." I'm like, I didn't know of them. And by happenstance, this is, the location we're at on 265 Church Street.
Right.
I took the M bus almost every day past this building to go to Wilbercross High School. And it's just a real cathartic experience being here in this position. Have a beautiful office on the 19th floor overlooking the green. And, you know, when I was around as a kid, I never even dreamed of being in this spot. So I had a really long interview. I think it was around 3 hours. They actually forgot that I was in the basement at the law school. We did it over Zoom. And it was so long because I had interviewed at first with the Yale New Haven team, because I did a dual program where I was in-house at for Yale's Legal and Risk Services Department, and then spent the other half of my summer at Wigan and Dana. So as a law student, every summer we do what's called summer associate positions. The goal with law school is to graduate with a job. So you're having like summer-long interviews. They talked about the obligatory stuff about grades and stuff. But again, it was just like, all right, Jermaine, what does it mean for you being back in Connecticut? Why, you know, and these different questions. And one of the things that shocked me the most about them was just that, you know, they understood what I meant when I said that I was looking for a place where I can be fulfilled. Yes, there was other places, other law firms that were, you know, had higher starting salaries and such of that nature. But when I thought about it, you know, where I want to go in my life, what really adds value to my life is feeling like I'm sowing a seed in a place that basically, you know, helped me get my start. What's a better place, I think, to start off a new chapter, being the value added man that I feel like I am today, than being in your hometown. And I'm just really looking forward to the opportunity to make meaningful connections and find, you know, the young men that are like me here, because in many respects, you know, a lot of people when I was growing up around here did not know some of the tumult that I was going through at home. And I feel like it's helped me have a keen eye that the student who is doing well and overperforming, the student who is at the high school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you're thinking they just there because they like to read the books. And, you know, that may be the student that you need to tap on the shoulder and love up on. And I think we oftentimes, you know, run towards the students that are acting out. But as someone who was crying for help, and I guess positive ways, it's really important for me to be in a place where I can find others like myself.
I mean, it's so profound when you mention kind of following your internal instincts and having faith in your feelings, but also wearing your cognitive hat as well as your emotional hat at the same time. That's really so grateful. I mean, I'm particularly grateful for you to hear you say that. When you mention associating with the young bloods, I can appreciate that. But if I can just mention, the AARP crowd is still around. The you know, the Social Security, just leave us on the back bench. You don't have to be on the field, man. In the Rosa Parks section, I don't mind that, but yeah, keep us on the bus at least. Don't kick us. Don't kick us off. I was impressed, and I think, I mean, you acknowledged on Facebook that you were impressed to be invited back to give the commencement address at your at St. At St. Rose. I mean, and that's generally the commencement addresses is someone that's at least 20, 30 or so years from school. So I mean, this was an accolade in itself. But yes, so tell us about that. What do you tell the folks back this month?
So I'm not afraid to say that I cried even before getting there. Just as a whirlwind of emotions, knowing what it took to get there, what it took to graduate. I mean, at one point in the semester, my freshman year, I had a 1.2 GPA. I did not have money for one of my semesters. And then, you know, graduating in 2013 and then in 2021 being a commencement speaker, I'm like, oh, look at God. And so, you know, the thing, how it really came about was, you know, COVID. And with COVID, the school felt like they did not want, you know, just some politician coming in, and they did not want, you know, to be reaching out for someone who's not really connected. They wanted their alumni to speak to their students. And particularly, they wanted someone who they know has gone through things. And one of the lines that I shared with the students is that no one great has become great without first having a story to tell. And for me, what that sentence did for me was that it made me unafraid and unashamed of my life struggles, of being in and out of homeless shelters, of being in a home where I witnessed my mom, you know, getting beat on with domestic violence. You know, I did a lot of hiding those kinds of things. And it was so liberating to say, listen, you know, your life doesn't have to be perfect, or as what I love to say, life doesn't need to be fair in order for you to be successful. So I opened up my speech by telling them, you have everything you need to be successful. And I truly believe that we all do. I say about myself that I'm just an ordinary person who worked hard enough to do extraordinary things. And at 29, I know that, you know, this is just the tip of the iceberg for me. But it just goes all the way around to, like, you know, I say that I'm living in a state of gratefulness. I've made my share of mistakes throughout life. I've seen some things. It's just really important for me as life, you know, the sun comes out on my life and I get, you know, more blessings, that I'm trying to show others that you can do it too as I go along the way. And I think people make a mistake about trying to motivate people by showing them all the things they have and letting them know all their success records. Well, I do the flip. I tell you about all of my failures. And then at the back end, of course, I tell you, oh, well, I've done this and I'm this and that and the third. You know, but I tell you about all the failures because I want you to learn that despite making those inevitable mistakes, because there's different mistakes that we all make, but we're all going to make mistakes. It's still up to you, and you can still find yourself being successful. The key that I tell people, if there is a secret to success, is just holding yourself accountable and applying relentless effort. And I think that's why I overcame all of my challenges. Not being specially connected, it's not having rich parents. I held myself accountable and I applied relentless effort. And my next big goal is a scary one, and have that by 40. And I'm hoping that, you know, what I've done is going to get me there.
Well, you know, we talked about a little bit before the show, what the next 10-year Jermaine, 20-year Jermaine, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year, 60-year Jermaine looks like. So I'm not sure. Do I have liberty to ask that question, or should we wait till the end, or do you want to do it on the next show that you'll co-host this fall?
Yeah, I think you know. So my close friends know the specifics, but it's definitely, you know, the general answer would be, I know that eventually I'm going to transition into politics.
Excellent.
But right now my focus is for at least the next 10 years becoming a great lawyer. I worked my butt off to be here. My current practice, I'm a corporate attorney, but I do specific focus on emerging companies and venture capital, as well as healthcare. So what that means is on what we call ECVC side, I work with startup businesses, you know, help with their general governance. And then when they're like, hey, we're actually ready to expand, we, you know, help them with financing and get those financing docs out and hopefully get them to an IPO, an initial public offering. On the healthcare side, it's dealing with healthcare transactional work, doing some regulatory work as well. I'm also started doing data privacy and help some nonprofits with their 501c3 applications. So I'm building a suite of, you know, a range within corporate, with, again, the specific focus being on helping startup companies grow and expand. And it's really why I picked this kind of law, because I knew from the first day of criminal law that that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to, you know, I jokingly tell people I'm the lawyer you go to when you want to make money, not when you're in trouble.
And how is Wigan and Dana positioned in that regard to kind of help fulfill your dreams?
Very, very well. The work here, I've been having such a rich experience. I'm also the business law co-chair for the Connecticut Bar Association Young Lawyers section. And from just interfacing with some of my colleagues there about some of the work experience they've had, and some of them been, you know, a year or two ahead of me. And I'm like, I've already done that in my year and 7 months of being a lawyer. And it's really because at Wigan, we are a large firm for Connecticut with 150 lawyers, but at that size, we're not a large firm in the sense of New York or some international law firms. But we're also small enough to where we don't have enough attorneys to just have attorney do one thing of each. So, you know, I've worked on deals that are in the $200 million range, and also worked on deals in the $5 million range. And I think that breadth of experience is coming from the unique position that Wigan has positioned themselves in, and also them trusting me fairly quickly with getting in on some more complex issues, and actually having an opportunity to lead some transactions already. So I definitely have no complaints with regards to the experience that I'm getting here at all.
So that means you could give a 10-second explanation of what a SPAC is?
Yeah, Special Purpose Acquisition Company.
But no one knows. So, well, I'm going to come back to the law practice part, but that's just a clue that I want to conclude with knowing what a SPAC is. I want to know what an EFIT, EFT.
Oh, EFT, exchange.
Yeah, I want to know what that was.
Fund, yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm not even going to ask you to explain Coinbase or Bitcoin. That's
Listen, I'm still figuring that one out too myself.
but the SPAC thing, I want to conclude on SPAC. But take me back, because it seems, and I really appreciate your sharing your story so far with us. And I shouldn't say so far. It's been rich to say the least. But there's something that when I was looking kind of reviewing some of your background, the great expectations movement.
Yep.
Tell me about the generation for that. Is that something that you see that's part and parcel as you move forward, or is it kind of a one-off, or is it
no
other ventures?
So that actually started as a one-off in 2012. So on July 24th, 2012 was the day I sent out a Facebook message to two of my close friends, Kajana McKenzie, who became a medical doctor a couple weeks ago, and Gerald Moore Jr., who has his master's from St. Rose and is an accountant in upstate New York, basically letting them know how crazy that summer was for me. I found myself homeless again. There was just a lot going on, big disagreements with my mom, and I was like, hey, but I think I can use these bad situations to help other people figure out their stuff. And I just still remember Gerald be like, boy, you going through things. Don't what you worried about other people for. And I'm just sitting there like, it's the only thing that's helping me, get out of this. So in my journal, I wrote out what I call the 5 gems to success: dream, plan, execute, achieve, and give back.
Say that again.
Dream, plan, execute, achieve, and give back. And the 5th one being the most important to me, because if it wasn't for people who wanted to sow into me and saw what I couldn't see for myself at times, again, don't think I would be here. So we held an event that fall at the College of St. Rose and had great reviews. It really was just talking about how to overcome certain struggles. We did a little workshop about, how to find your life purpose. And one of my mentors from here in New Haven, Jermaine, who part of Developing Tomorrow's Professionals organization, actually came up to help anchor the event and was our closing speaker for that.
Good.
And so then afterwards, I looked at my friends and had, what they say, that look in my eyes, and they're like, oh, this wasn't it, was it? And I said, I think we can make this no organization. So we then held presentations for the New York State Senate Democratic Conference internship program. We did a couple presentations for UConn, Albany High School. We actually got an award from them for our work there. And really what it's about is, through sharing our different journeys about triumph and perseverance, we then set the stage and then work with young people to really map out their futures through different exercises that we call accountability exercises. Have them map out, what is it that you want to be? All right, how are you going to get there? What are you doing now that's conducive to that? Because some people have dreams of success, but they don't have a routine of success. And that's why I say that success is in a routine. It's why I wake up between 4:45 and 5:45 every morning, during the weekdays, and that's just my time. I get up, I go work out in the gym, get to the office by 8:30 to start the day. And I think it's important that you find time for yourself. I find that sometimes people are so afraid to be alone with themselves, and it really hurts my heart to hear that. It's like, sit with yourself. What do you like? What is a burning desire in yours? Have you figured out how you can, improve yourself? One of our mantras from GEM is live to be the best version of you. And I don't think that you can do that without spending time with yourself to find out what is it that you need to do to improve. And as you know, success is different for each of us.
Yes.
And so we just try to encourage people to figure out how you define success for yourself, but then hold yourself accountable to getting there. We talk about, there's an example of, you have this warranty for your fancy computer, and your computer doesn't work, and you're going yelling, hollering at the store, talking about, my warranty says you're going to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you set your little New Year's resolution and in month 6 you haven't done it, are you yelling at yourself, talking about, you said you were going to do this?
Mm.
Unfortunately, more often than not, people aren't doing that for themselves. And I try to let people know that when you hold yourself accountable to the way that you hold others accountable when they say they're going to do something for you, you're going to see the biggest breakthrough in your life. And it's something that I try to lead by example with.
So the Great Expectations movement, if someone's listening and wants to get involved or find out about the acronyms or kind of just have their spirit uplifted, what's the best way for that to happen?
Yeah, so they can reach out through our Facebook page. I've been slow to get our website going up. I'm a perfectionist, and I've just been finding the right things to balance in there. But the Facebook page, the Great Expectations Movement, Inc. I'm also very easy to find. Shameless plug, if you just Google me, Jermaine Brookshire Jr., my stuff will come up. You can reach out through LinkedIn or whatever. So we can talk about what you need and go from there. But yeah, for in terms of the future though, I envision the Great Expectations movement being hopefully a future facility where I would like to even have a place where we have a homeless shelter for young men who and obviously do scholarships and such. I just really want to support, like I said, students, young people like myself, again, who get forgotten because we are, on honor roll and such. And you think that we come from good, solid homes because of that. And then I also want to have another aspect of it where we're actually providing assistance to parents. Knowing from experience how difficult it is for a parent to feel like they don't have a place in their child's life anymore because of how well their child is succeeding. And I think it's important that we provide support through all aspects. And it's one of my problems with some of the programs we have. It's like we love up on a kid and then we send them back into what I call the diseased environment. And then we worry, then we want to find out like why when they come back to us next week, we're starting all over again. Like it's, it's like polishing your shoes and stepping on in the mud. How many times you're going to keep doing that? Fix the puddle. So, and that's what we try to do.
And you referenced a few minutes ago, Jermaine, that the discipline of your rising each morning. And before we went on air, we talked about the exercise regimen, which I hate, but you inspired me, at least from a cognitive level. I can't commit that all these machines that I have in the house here that are dust will be occupied. But you mentioned that it makes your body feel good or something to that respect.
Absolutely. So I mean, and again, your workouts just need to be whatever fits your lifestyle. So for me, I do intense, high intensity workouts. I'm out there jumping, throwing stuff, moving around. But I also, when we had classes before COVID, I'd love taking the Tai Chi class for, just to slow down and do those different things. The idea about it is setting up a routine where you're actually working every bit of you. So, we're constantly working our brain. I'm sure, you're like myself where we're doing our spiritual explorations. So my always thing is
we'll talk about that on the third show that you're anchor about how we fight our devils. That's a different issue. Yeah.
So one of the things I always say is that I want it all. So I want the financial success. I want the mental and spiritual success, but also want the physical success. And I just really believe that, and it's something that's a kind of controversial because people are just like, oh, well, I can't do it all. Well, I say, you can't don't pick and choose what you want to be great at. Try to be great in every aspect of your life. It takes a lot of work. But, that old saying of, you make time for whatever is meaningful towards you. Well, being healthy is meaningful to me.
Yes.
And I think it trickles down as being at 29 with no kids yet and not really having a plan to have them sometime soon. I'm gonna need to make sure I work out because I'm gonna be an old dad. So, and so I think it all just trickles down to, what makes you feel good. Some people get that, endorphin feeling from just a 30-minute walk. And you do that, but also too in that moment. And I would share, one tip on sort of like, I guess my spiritual connection is that when I'm in the morning on the Stairmaster, literally it's my time when I'm speaking to my higher power and I'm just saying, I'm running down everything that I'm grateful for. Some people may find it weird, but it's my time where I'm feeling most at peace and centered. Yeah, I'm still working hard on the gym, but it's like, I'm with myself. And I just really try to define spaces for me. It's like even now with my office, I have things that, I like. I have Muhammad Ali. I have no excuses on the wall, sacrifice, ambition.
And what's that behind you there? Is that grind?
Yeah, so it's grind. So it's one of an action shot with him. I have Kamala Harris in here. I have a picture with me and BB King. I had met him in I think it was 2014 or 2013. And I had this wonderful picture with us together. I think it was 2013, actually. Yeah.
Indeed. Let's drill down a little bit more on that spiritual thing. And I don't want to be don't mean to be cavalier when I say spiritual thing. When you're talking to a young person, as you know, I've been around town for a few decades and have made most of my money with wordsmithing and sharing words and communication and paying attention to what people are thinking and feeling. But if we Google depression in terms of how often the word depression has been entered in terms of people's conversation, I mean, my mind is blown by that. People have always been sad, but just the actual word depression, trauma has been in people's parlance. I mean, if we did LexisNexis search on how often those words are used, it's off the chart. So, and I hear you kind of addressing those, the sense of struggle that people are experiencing throughout the globe. Yeah.
So, I mean, with my career as being a lawyer, I have a high stress profession. Some days are, kind of, I guess, what you call status quos, but other days you have clients needing this, that, and the third. You also have your own deadlines and everything. It seems to be falling out of whack. But yet, when you answer the phone, you're still saying Jermaine Brookshire Jr. and really on the inside, you're like, So, but again, it's, hopefully those are the days that I haven't had to disrupt my routine and I was able to work out that morning, which helps me set the tone because I already checked the box of feeling successful. And then it's going back to your purpose. Isn't this, why are you here? Well, I wanted to have some freedom. I wanted to have some options. So I thought being a lawyer will be that. It's like, okay, well, haven't you gone through worse things before? Yes. You say you're living in the spirit of gratefulness, right? Yes. Got up and work. And it's really the message that's on my desk, which is just that reminder. And yeah, I mean, everyone has their bad days, but I feel like if you're walking in your purpose and living a life that you've dreamed of, which in many respects I am, you should be able to grind through those tough days. And again, I have my days where I'm feeling like crying just like everyone else, but it's going back to what helps me get through. And that's why I tell people it's, you listen to me talk about my routine may not work for you.
Yes.
But what I am saying is that what's important is that you spend time with yourself to find out what is your success routine. That's what's going to be the anchor when life is feeling like it's driving you crazy, when you feel like you're done making decisions for yourself and you just need a couple days to just, relax your brain. If you've already had that routine, you can fall back on that. Like on Saturday mornings, I wake up at 8 o'clock. I sleep in a little bit. And then, I go get my hair cut, laugh it up with the barber. I go detail my car. my friends laugh because they're just like, man, if we wanted to take you out, we know exactly. You were 10:31. He's at the car wash putting on wax. But hey, at least I know on my Saturday mornings, there's for at least 4 to 5 hours, no real decisions that need to be made. Jermaine,
Right.
follow the routine. And it's one that I like. As simple as it is, I get pleasure out of vacuuming my car and buffing my rims. So,
Right. If you want an extra car, I can drive over. I can, if you want a second one. It's a classic and it's an antique. So I mean,
I love it.
But I don't want to put words in your mouth. But I hear you talking about the not only being with yourself, but the self-talk regimen, the self-talk struggle. I hear you say. I mean, we hear these words, neuroplasticity, et cetera, and the brain can evolve. But I hear you talking about that your consciousness. You really want to kind of grab hold of what you're saying to yourself or feeling.
So let me tell you the first time that I really understood how powerful you can be for yourself and self-motivating was in February of 2019. So this is my last semester of law school. In February, I just started really focusing about the bar exam. All right, you're about to get your Juris Doctor. Everybody's like, oh, Jermaine, you're about to graduate from law school. I'm like, this means nothing if I can't pass this bar exam. I had zero confidence. Even this getting A's in law school and blah, blah, blah. I said, I am not a good test taker. That's what I constantly kept telling myself. Literally in February, I had what I felt was a panic attack. I found myself in my home office, laying on the floor, just hysterical. And it felt like it came out of nowhere. And I said, okay, this is not what is going to get you to pass that exam this summer. So you need to get your stuff together. So what I did was I needed to be reminded vocally, visually about why I would pass that exam. And if I was at my house, I'd be able to show you the poster. I made this poster, just simply wrote affirmations, wrote February 2019 in the corner. And then I wrote, there's a box that has bar exam with the dates. I think it was July 30th and July 31. It's a 2-day exam. And I just started writing out why I would pass that exam. I said, I have superpowers called dedication, discipline. Said something like, I'll pass the exam because I said so. I said, my effort is phenomenal. All these things that I never really said to myself because it's like kind of yucky. Like, who do you think you are talking? But I feel like because I'm someone who holds myself accountable, I've done such of a good job with telling myself all the things you need to improve. I never really took the time to tell myself all the things that I do well. And I needed that in that moment to make sure I had the courage, the strength, and just the belief that I could pass that exam. And for an exam that has 60% pass rate, passed on my first time, passed with a really great score. And I credit that to that breakdown moment. And again, it all revolves back to what I mentioned to you earlier, which is that I share about my failures. It's really easy to say, oh yeah, I passed the bar exam on the first time and I got it, this, that, and the score. Yeah, but I think what's more important is letting you know what happened in February and how I was able to do that. Because I know that my experience with that exam, especially as being a Black individual, where there's about 1.3 million lawyers in this country, and then I believe it's around 3 to 5% are Black. There's a lot that we go through to be in this position. And so what I try to remind people is that it's okay and it's normal to have those feelings that you're not going to pass and that you're going to fail. But what you then need to do is recenter yourself and get yourself mentally ready. There's many smart people who fail that exam because mentally they already checked out. And somehow I knew what I needed to do to mentally get myself in position.
I guess want to kind of take that in, because when you talk about this, the individual journey, and you hear the acronym or the word or the phrase of your own self be true and know yourself, but that can be a struggle also. Particularly as I hear you emphasize understanding your frailties and your strength, that we're a complex entity.
Yeah, you can't ignore the frailties. I feel like ignoring the frailties, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed in yourself. Even just thinking about how in our culture, how the masculinity has been redefined. And, there's many disagreements and about, what's been shifting in our society. But one of the things I do appreciate is that, you know, men feeling more safe with embracing their feelings. And I think it is a disservice to yourself when you don't recognize that, you know, you have doubts, you feel sad. You need to recognize those things, because it's not until you recognize and call those things out can you then address them. Stuffing all that stuff in the closet, come on, it's like the same thing with energy. People think that, oh, you know, I'm doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, you know, your energy, just like with anything, your little fancy cell phone, you need to recharge. Energy isn't infinite. And it's something that I just recently really had to take heed to, because my friends, close friends who love me, they love to just jokingly remind myself, you're not Superman. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. And it's, and them, that's their way of saying, Jermaine, make sure you remember your self-care. And I think for over performers, overachievers, it's very, we do a horrible job with taking care of ourselves at sometimes. And then we don't see how not taking the moments to reset actually helps us become more successful.
So say that again. That's key in terms of.
So I think it's important that we see how taking the moment to reset, even though you're feeling guilty about, you know, turning off your emails for a weekend or whatnot, that's really going to set you up to be more successful and really walk into your greatness. And again, it goes back to just the idea of the things that people laud. Your computers, your electronics, all those things, your phone will tell you that it's overheating. Okay.
That's right.
You know, what are the signs that you're missing from your body when it's telling you, I need to sleep a full 8 hours tonight? As someone who sleeps between 5 to 7 every day, there are some times when my body says, nah, bro, we ain't getting up at that day, at that time today. And you just got to embrace that. And it's not saying that you need to slow down your grind. What it's saying is that you find out your time with yourself. And that's why I say success is in your routine. If you learn yourself, you'll then know when that personal check engine light comes on for your body, when you need to tend to something with your body. Maybe that's just even as something as saying, you know what, let me call up my grandma. I actually can use a meal from her. You know, maybe let me hit up my friend so we can go have a drink, whatever that means to you. But if you don't have a success routine, you're going to probably miss those signs that something is wrong, because you're living life spastically.
Right.
And so that's why I bring it all back to, it's like, what do you want out of life? How do you get there? What are your actions doing? Are your actions setting you up for that goal? And those are the uncomfortable questions that we need to ask ourselves. And it boils down to what I said to the graduates at St. Rose. You have everything you need to be successful. Take inventory. Get yourself in alignment with your goals. That's going to take some work, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But the reward is going to be you living the life that you've dreamed of. And I wholeheartedly believe that.
Right. If the principal of Wilbur Cross calls you up this afternoon after seeing our verbal communion and wants you to kind of help out with the upcoming graduation, what would you say to some of the class 2021?
I welcome that I welcome that wholeheartedly. And you know, the main thing I will tell them is that, look, it's 2009. I'm just like one of you guys. You know, I think my greatest gift that I can give is showing, one, I'm still accessible, I am achieving well, but I also very much know how difficult the road to get here is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I hated law school. I don't like school at all. But what I do know is that if I wasn't going to do well and succeed there, that I wasn't going to have the life that I wanted. I didn't see the other route. So that's what it is, having that conversation. It's like, okay, you want to do this, but you don't like doing those couple steps. I don't see how you can get there without doing those steps. So now, what means more to you? Being comfortable not doing those steps, or going through the discomfort so you can live that life? And it's, again, through my personal experiences, how I'm able to connect. And then another great way of connecting is that I was right in their shoes. And I mean, as you know, with Wilbur Cross, we have some great students going there. We have some really good talent, but also too, we have some great students and really good talent who come from situations that would shock people if they really knew what these students go through. And I don't try to ignore that or sugarcoat it, but what I do let them know is, again, you are powerful, you'll be successful despite your circumstances. And again, another one of my taglines here is never let your circumstances determine your success.
We have about eight or 9 minutes. Harry, the station manager, will play the music from the Last Poets, and who, by the way, just celebrated their 50th anniversary. I'd ask you whether you're aware of them. They've been around for 50 years, and I'm going to send you some of the links. I think you might like their motif, because it's very inspirational. But I do want to conclude about your law practice at the moment, because we hear so much about people wanting to start businesses and entrepreneurs, and then if you watch Bloomberg News or or read the Wall Street Journal, or just hear about the Robin Hood. I mean, even the young people are hearing a lot about investments and strategy and wealth building. And I got to tell you, seems to be a cacophony of experts out here. I'm just been bewildered. Hope you feel taken advantage of. But you're in a place that has been traditionally perceived to help businesses grow. So feel free to kind of you use some of those highfalutin terms about what you're involved with, but also kind of break it down about if someone wants to start a business, why should Wigan and Dana kind of play a role in their fruition?
So I think that on the most basic level, people, especially us minorities, need to not be afraid to read. There are a lot of answers that can be found from doing some thorough research, and by cross-referencing things that you're reading. And by research, I'm not saying from Facebook and Instagram. But the thing is, even if you do find something you like on Facebook and Instagram, fine. But then bring it over to Google, go and do some cross-referencing, find some reputable sources to then check it. And, just like with my friends, we talk about, silly stuff, but then we also get in talking about investments that we're making. I am, a little bit more close to sources and materials. So I pop up in a group chat every once in a while with different things to read. And then we have a monthly book club meeting. We just finished Barack Obama's book. We're actually doing, embarrassingly, we have not read MLK's Where Do We Go From Here book. So we're actually doing that this month. And following that with one, Dr. Eric Dyson. But, I have a group of friends who we're reading and learning things together, and we're having those discussions. And at a very basic level, it's figuring out who you're surrounding yourself with. If you're friends, you're only able to talk to them, about the latest sports and such like that. Somebody needs to get checked. At 29, I need to know about, hey, what are you doing with your Roth IRA? Do you have a Roth 401k? Well, why did you invest in AMC and not Dogecoin? Talk to me. And I think those things are important. It's important, especially if you want to build some generational wealth. It's important to build confidence in who you're surrounding yourself in. And it's important, especially as you're, growing and wanting to, lead a life where money is not going to be a concern. You need to do the research to know how you can make your money work for you. And it's one of the reasons why I like the type of law, but also the law firm that I'm at, is that, we are concerned, again, with the holistic, aspect of our clients. We're not just going to throw documents your way. We're going to ask you, what is it that, what are your intentions here? What are you looking for with your company? Do you envision yourself, doing an initial public offering?
Walk us through a little checklist, maybe 3 or 4 point questions you do have, so someone can understand how.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I probably should have just popped up my PowerPoint. I just did a presentation for the Connecticut Bar Association.
That's the second show you're going to come back in September and do it for. But
so at a basic level, you need your corporate charter or your certificate of formation if you're doing an LLC, which simple documents can be filed with the Secretary of State. And those things are going to be outlining, what your company name and what is it that you're going to want to do. You're going to be issuing stock. You're going to put your stock amounts in there. A lot of times, if you are a new business, you don't necessarily have much cash on hand. So the way that you pay talent is through giving them equity incentive awards. So you'll be giving them that either through a restricted stock awards or option agreements. and with certain vesting requirements. And really all this saying is that, hey, we got something here. I don't have any cash for you, but you're going to sew in, and when this company gets really up and going, you're going to be the first to get cashed out. And we help make sure those arrangements are up and proper and are in alignment with what the founder's goals and needs are. From there, you may want to issue convertible debt to individuals who are not part of your immediate, executive team. So that can take the form of, convertible promissory notes or something new that came on the scene around 2013, or what's called SAFEs. So those are simple agreements for future equity. Just a quick primer on the difference between the two is a convertible note is a debt instrument. A SAFE is not. All it is just a promise to receive payment at some later date, contingent upon a certain qualifying event happening. And those are just some vehicles, again, as a startup, to be able to get talent, to get some investors when you're low on money. You're just bright-eyed with good ideas, but you got no cash behind you. And we help try to figure out those investment vehicles. And once you get larger, because of our size of the firm and our attention to your detail, we've just helped you in your infancy, but also we can deal with you when you are a $100+ million company and you're looking to do more complex strategic transactions and things of that nature. And I think that's one of the beauty of a firm like Wiggin and Dana, is that you're getting this sort of focused attention from early stages up until you become large. And the big thing that I find with people that they really appreciate is having an attorney who they can trust. And I think we do a good job with making you see, like, hey, we're here for you. Be honest with us so that we can accurately handle things. As you know, sometimes, you try to fudge things even for the people who are helping you, and it makes our job a little difficult. But yeah, and again, it's why I feel happy here, because I see that attention is occurring on all aspects.
What about your interface with the venture capitalist community? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's actually just still slowly happening. So I'm not even a second year associate yet, and also COVID kind of stopped things, because just when COVID hit, I was just beginning to be invited with the partners to go have certain meetings to meet these individuals. So we'll see how that plays out. But as of right now, the partners and such have been doing this for years. They have the relationships. And so, they handle that piece. And then once they get the investors, then I'm just working away, trying to make everyone happy with the documents. But that happens, in more time, once I'm still learning the lingo and certain triggers to make sure, we're speaking the language that they need to, then I'll be having more interaction with the investors. But again, if being here for less than 2 years, I've learned quite a bit, and it seems like there's so much more to come, and it's going to come in due time.
Well, I mean, and for sure, and you referenced you're being 29, so that's an exciting.
Yeah, I turned 30 on July 1st, actually. So I'm
you hear that, everybody? July 1st. That's July 1st. That's a Cancer baby. I follow you 9 days after that. But
that's great.
Precede you by a few years as well. But as you say, when you talk about energies and archetypes, there is some theories about that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
In terms of cancers in particular, wanting to nurture and thrive, the whole world for that matter. We have about 3 or 4 minutes. Kind of any kind of last comments or thoughts, because again, everyone should know that you will be back. You publicly said we can discuss it, but I'm publicly proclaiming and affirming, given your grace for the last 50 minutes. I've written it down. Jermaine will be back on the show.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I my biggest thing is I always just say that I want people to feel better after having met me, and I think it's just because I've gone through some things in my life, and I know that there could be some very bright and beautiful smiles out there, but behind it, they may be going through something. So I just want to offer encouragement to people just to keep the good fight. Remember that, you haven't come this far just to get this far. And if anything, I hope that from what you heard from me sharing a little bit of my struggles to get here, that really anything you want can happen. You just have to work for it. As corny as it is, I live it. So just hold that close to yourself and be kind to yourself. Give yourself a little grace. Again, it may sound corny saying that, but really it was me reaffirming myself that I really am an amazing individual who's smart, who's talented. Every once in a while, you have to remind yourself about that. Still holding yourself accountable to get better, but be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so. We'll get ended there, Harry. Jermaine, thank you so much.
No problem.
This has just been inspirational for me, and I think I would try to think about when I was 29, what I was thinking about back then. But anyway, talk to you soon. See you soon.
Thank you.
Enjoy the car wash tomorrow, the car wax tomorrow. and I'll bring over my Lexus for you.
My pleasure.
Cause I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going. Better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving cause they ain't ready for your final version. I'm never gonna give up. Fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is my road. Let's get